Whoa, whoa, whoa. Hold on a second. Stop the gameplay. Before we continue with the rest of the video, I want to explain what exactly we're doing here. More specifically, what exactly a map randomizer is. I'm sure that there are some of you watching this video that don't know what a map randomizer is, so I'm going to go over what it entails, what settings I have enabled for it, and also delve into some quality of life changes that have been added. Now, bear in mind with me, this might take a while for me to explain. If you're already familiar with the way a map randomizer works, or you simply don't care and want to get straight into the action, then head to the timestamp you see on the screen, or you can head to the next chapter on the timeline bar below. Now with that out of the way, allow me to explain the specifics of a map randomizer. Firstly, what is a map randomizer? Well, my dear viewer, a map randomizer is a special type of randomizer in Super Metroid that takes every room in the game, and I do mean every room, and moves them around to random locations across Zebes. This could mean that the room immediately to your left could have a boss waiting for you in it, or you could encounter a heated room on the surface of Criteria, despite that not being possible in the base game. Any room in the entire game can be anywhere. Yes, including your own ship. But that's only if you enable a setting to where you don't start at the ship and instead start in a completely random room, so you don't have to worry about that for the most part. Now, obviously, there are going to be some unique cases where rooms that are connected to each other in the vanilla game will also be connected to each other in randomizers. However, keep in mind that these cases can be few and far between, and that you shouldn't expect this to happen with every randomizer you do. I mean, the chance of that would be absurd. Anyways, with that explanation out of the way, I want to go over the settings that I have enabled next. In terms of my objective, I have it set to bosses. This is pretty much the same objective as the vanilla game, which is to beat all 4 main bosses, Kraid, Phantoon, Dragon, and Ridley, to access Mother Brain, the final boss. There are some other objectives that the randomizer allows you to choose that I could explain here, but that would take up too much time, so let's just move on. In terms of my difficulty settings, I have it set to basic. Believe me, as much as I claim to be a good player at these Metroid games, well, for the most part anyways, there are just some things that are basically impractical and unfeasible for me to perform in this game. I am no speedrunner of Super Metroid by any means. I'm not capable of doing a short charge very easily, nor am I capable of doing more high-level techs like the continuous wall jump or the X-ray climb. Plus, Super Metroid's controls throw me off from time to time, which could definitely screw me over if I choose a higher difficulty. So for that reason, I'm staying at basic. In terms of my item progression, I have it set to normal. According to the Map Randomizer website from which I generated my seed, normal item progression is supposed to be lenient on the key items that you acquire throughout the game, and by the time you collect 50% of the total items in the game, at least 75% of the key items are available to you. Additionally, items required for progression are given to you plentifully at the beginning of the game. This pretty much means that I'm going to be collecting major items out the wazoo at the beginning of the game, but this will eventually slow down towards the middle and end of it. In terms of my map layout, I have it set to tame. The Map Randomizer website states, the rooms are arranged in a random but relatively friendly way. One-ways tend to have short return paths that loop back around. To simplify, this is saying that the rooms are going to be randomized in a way to where I'm not going to be feeling lost when I enter some specific areas or sets of rooms. And by the time I collect a lot of necessary progression items, going through these will feel like I'm playing the vanilla game. Though, obviously with the layouts, it certainly isn't going to be the vanilla game. And lastly, the quality of life setting, which I have set to default. This setting has some of the most immediate visual changes that stand out to players and viewers alike when tinkered with. This essentially enables, or rather doesn't change, several different quality of life features that help to enhance the gameplay of these randomizers. Now, since there are so many changes that have been made to the game specifically for these randomizers, I'm going to have to go through these in a sort of lightning round so that I don't take up even more time. So to quickly explain, the map and minimap have become more detailed, now highlighting heated water rooms and showing health and ammo refills. Some animations and cutscenes have been significantly sped up, including saving, refilling, the Paper Metro cutscene, Mother Brain, etc. Item dots has become more detailed, with small dots representing missiles, hollow dots representing an E-Tech supers, power bombs, or reserves, and filled dots representing major items. Ammo refills now refill supers and power bombs. Item fanfares have been disabled. Enemy draws have been improved, making form much faster. Resetting will make any rooms you visited stay on the map as grayed out squares, and much more that I don't have the time to explain here. Sheesh, that was quite a lot. Alright, I know that I've been going on and on for a long while, and I'm sure you're dying to see me go through whatever possible pain and torture lies ahead, but I felt like I needed to explain how this randomizer works to those who aren't familiar with it. If you want the full details, I'll leave a link to the Super Metroid Map Randomizer website in the description below. Now then, with all of that out of the way, let's finally dive into this randomizer. Our randomizer begins just like many others do, at our trusty gunship. Immediately, I head left and through a corridor, only to be blocked by a power bomb door. Great. This meant I had to go to the right of the ship instead. Now, normally, you're not meant to go to the right of the ship at the beginning of the game. Casual and or first time players will see that these edges are too high for them to jump onto, and will most likely head to the left to actually start the game. However, because of the wall jump, we can give a resounding fuck you to these platforms and jump onto them anyways, because this is Super Metroid. We can get past any obstacle if we do so much as press 2 directions on the D-pad. So after scaling this little cliff and dropping down, I enter the door to the right, clear out the vines, and head into the door on the top, where I immediately begin to melt like the ice cream I picked up from the grocery store last week. Since heated rooms are a no-go without the Varia suit, or at the very least without some E-tanks under my belt first, I have to avoid these at all costs. I turn back and head into the bottom door. There, I find 2 of the necessary items we need for progression, the Morph Ball and Power Bombs. And just as an extra bonus, the game also decided to give me Space Jump. I'm super glad that this was given to me early, because it's an incredibly useful tool that will see a ton of usage throughout the entire randomizer. So, after thanking RNGesus for gifting me the items that I need at the moment, I jump up to the top right door of Criteria, where I am greeted by the cosine room. I grab the missiles within it and head back to the left, saving out the ship before heading top left and breaking the entrance to what would be the gauntlet. Instead, it brings me to the real business center of Criteria, the West Ocean, as the speedrunners call it. Why they didn't call it something cooler, I don't know, but I digress. I check the item that's at the very top of the room, which is just more power bombs. Whoop-de-fucking-do. And to make matters worse, there's a major item at the very left of this room. Unfortunately, I can't grab it without super missiles because there's a super missile block preventing me from dropping down and grabbing it. So, I just head into the small tunnel, through the door, and encounter yet another heated room. The game really wants me to become a puddle of red, white, and blue, doesn't it? I head through the power bomb door that was originally blocked off, and find an E-tank at the bottom of West Ocean. That's always a nice item to collect, but then I was presented with a very particular problem. Heading to the left door brings me to another area, Norfair, but the problem is that it's a water room. Meaning if I head into there, and I don't find any necessary items, which is very much possible, then I'd be soft-locked, and I'd have to reset at the last save point. So I head to the door on the right side, which brings me into another heated room, Rising Tide. And since, at the time, the only way I knew I could go was through Rising Tide, I simply bit the bullet and space jumped my way across. And my reward is another E-tank. I mean, I'll take it, but I would have preferred something I could very much use right now, like super missiles to go grab that major item. Either way, with my second E-tank acquired, I head to the elevator shaft above my ship and eventually acquire the map, upon which it revealed... Oh my goodness! A shit ton of majors. Oh, and Ridley and Mother Brain are pretty much right next to each other too. Awesome! So, seeing that there was a major immediately to my right with no hazards blocking it like heated or water rooms, I decided to go and grab that first. And the item we get is... It's Gravity Suit. Oh shit! Yep, I got Gravity Suit. Which meant that I could not only traverse through that water room in Norfair without any problems, but I could also grab the second major item that I was previously unable to grab due to the water room on the way to it being impossible to get through without gravity. And this major item is... Wow, Varia Suit. So now that I have both suits, I can go through heated and water rooms without any problems. Isn't that just lucky? So, after narrowly escaping death's cold clutches, and a few technical failures... Spin jump, damn it! Oh my god. The next major item was... Hey, Screw Attack. That'll be super handy for dealing with enemies that would normally take a long time to kill with just my regular weaponry. So I saved at the ship, head to the right, and I grabbed the next major item, which is Speed Booster. That's going to be super helpful for traversal, no doubt about that. At this point, I had all of the non-beam upgrades that I really needed. Both the suits, space jump, screw attack, and speed booster. Some other stuff like bombs or high jump would have been nice to have, but even if I didn't get them, that wouldn't be too bad, since I have other items that do their jobs anyway. So, after collecting the 5th major item, Wave Beam, pretty nice, I finally head into Norfair to see what's over there. And what's over there is the metal bitches that throw their lobster hands at me and eventually kill me. So that's quite fun. I guess, word of advice, don't go over there. So, I re-enter Norfair, keeping in mind to not head in the direction of the metal pirates, to which I find... Oh great, a save room. Wonderful. Well, I guess at least I don't have to travel as far when I reset or die? I collected a few more missiles and had even more technical failures. Spin jump! What the Samus. I head into Brinstar for all of 2 seconds, hearing 5 seconds of the banger music. Aww. I could have stayed longer to enjoy the music before returning to Norfair, since there's still a lot I can and want to explore there. Doubly so considering I don't have the map yet, and I have no idea what I may miss if I end up going to Brinstar instead. But how would I have ever gone on if I decided to skip this second goddamn save room in Norfair? Oh, I also got sucked down to 1 energy by the baby. Fantastic. So after carefully making it through the room prior, I decided to head into Brinstar for real this time. As I fumbled my way through a lot of rooms, as well as get betrayed by the finicky nature of space jump in this game, I exit Brinstar, seeing as there aren't many items available to me at the moment without super missiles to get me through some doors, and enter another new area, Wrecked Ship, also known as the place where Super Metroid speedruns go to die. I grab the map, and much to my dismay, there's only one major item in this area. A little disappointing, but as long as it's something useful, which at this point is really just the beam upgrades, then I don't mind that. Alongside that, there's also a bunch of minor items in Wrecked Ship, so I'm praying to the logic of this seed that it decides to give me supers instead of anything else. But, only one problem. 2 problems, actually. For one, the entrance to the path on the left side is blocked off by a super missile door. And guess what I don't have any of? That's right, motherfucking super missiles! So I can't enter the area from that way. Oh, but there's another path that I can enter from the bottom. Let's just go through that instead. Well, this is where problem number 2 comes in. That bottom room? That's Crocomyre's room, which I can't enter from the left side until I've actually defeated Crocomyre. And by defeat, I mean shoot at him with my weaponry to coerce him into backpedaling onto an unstable bridge where his weight collapses, causing him to fall into the acid below, melting his entire skin and reducing him to bones. Holy shit, how did this get improved in the 1990s Nintendo game? So basically, unless I go all the way around through Criteria, which, considering how far away I am from Criteria, alongside the possibility of it being something I don't even need, like the Spring Ball or X-Ray Scope, that major item is going to be in limbo until I grab supers. And considering that the minor item I collected was just more power bombs, there's literally nothing else that I can do here in Wrecked Ship at the moment. So I just went back into Brinstar again, went through the Wasteland, collected our luxury item, also known as the Spring Ball for those of you who don't watch Oatsngoats, and I collected the map as well. And would you look at that, Dragon's here in Brinstar. But as it turns out, taking the top door in that heated room shaft was actually a big misplay. The reason why? I soft-locked myself. Oh god, am I fucked? Yes, I actually managed to get myself soft-locked, as I wasn't able to escape the water room with the crumbled grapple beam block, since I don't have the grapple beam, obviously. And the blocks to the right are crumble blocks, meaning there was literally no way for me to get out other than to reset the game and load up a much earlier save file. Because, well, I made this mistake of saving in the soft-locked area, meaning a lot of the progress I made was undone by that simple maneuver. So I reloaded an earlier save, started back in that save room in Norfair, and decided that I'd take a different route to a new area, Torian. I collected some missiles along the way, downloaded the map, and... Crate's here. Bit of an interesting spot, but hey, he'll be easy pickings. The minor item I collected underneath Old Mother Brain was... It's always fucking power bombs, bro. It's always power bombs. Yep, more power bombs. The seed really doesn't want me to have supers, it seems. So I head into the Mama Turtle room to pick up the 2 minor items in here, and oh my god. I actually managed to find a super missile pack. Finally! It only took me almost an hour as well as a softlock to get them. I'm totally not mad that they were placed so far away from me that I had to travel through 3 different areas just to find them. Totally not. Oh, and I picked up a reserve tank along the way, so that's pretty cool, I guess. With the first pack of super missiles finally acquired, my next destination was Kraid's room. Not only will this let me get whatever item is on the other side of his room, but it'll also let me take care of one of the required bosses to access Mother Brain. In the vanilla game, Kraid is a very simple boss that kind of serves as an introduction to what you'd expect to see from the bosses after him. Huge enemies with several different kinds of attacks and patterns that you have to get used to if you want to beat it. But Kraid, despite his large size, is a very easy boss. You can defeat him with as little as 5 missiles and a single E-tank even. But again, he's meant to serve as an introductory boss, not an actually difficult fight, so you should be able to take care of him super easily. Also, I tried doing the Kraid quick kill here, but it didn't go so well, as you can see. Yeah, I'm sure I'm pretty great at these games. But either way, I put Kraid 70 feet under? I don't know how tall he is. But we take him down, and that's 1 boss checked off the list. Only 3 more to go. After he's defeated, I pick up some more super missiles. And some more. Jeez, this place is swarming with super missiles, it seems. So, because we have super missiles in our possession now, we can actually start opening up quite a lot of doors, including getting that 1 major item that I couldn't get from the wrecked ship. But, of course, in my infinite wisdom, I decided to not go back and grab it, but instead fight Phantoon so I could turn on the power and grab the map. Personally speaking, I hate this fight with all of my heart, simply because having to potentially wait for so long just to get a chance to attack Phantoon, and then also having a chance to miss that window, it isn't really fun. And having such a small room to move around in doesn't really help either. But with that said, I'm just gonna put my reaction to beating Phantoon right here. Oh, I get it! Oh, I did it! Oh my god. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I actually didn't think I was going to win that fight because, well, I'm gonna be honest, I'm not good at dealing with Phantoon. Like, at all. So, needless to say, I was very happy to be proven wrong and win. So, that's 2 bosses down, only 2 more to go. With the power back on after defeating Phantoon, I go ahead and grab the map. And as it turns out, I did actually have infinite wisdom, because that allowed me to find out that there were 4 major items here in Brinstar for me to collect. Isn't that something? One of them turned out to be the X-ray scope. That's just fantastic. And what's the other one? Oh, the plasma beam! Well, perhaps the X-ray scope will make itself useful later on, so long as I get a necessary beam upgrade. After those 2 majors, I picked up bombs. Neat, I guess, though sort of redundant considering I have power bombs already at my beck and call. And then the 4th major item after that was, hey, charge beam! Well, that'll make Dragon easy to cheese and Ridley much easier to kill. So at this point, I'm now in what people would call go mode. Essentially, with Charge Beam, Plasma Beam, both of the suits, and at least 3 E-Tanks, I'm capable of taking down all the remaining bosses in the game with no trouble, meaning that I have a very clear path to the end. But of course, we're not done yet, as I still have to take care of those 3 bosses. So first up on the pipeline is Dragon. This shrimpy, crustaceous, horrific, slimy creature is normally a rather challenging fight for newcomers of Super Metroid, with very fast and out-of-the-blue swooping attacks, spitting out goop to slow you down, and then grabbing you and stabbing you with its tail, requiring you to mash the D-pad to escape. However, by contrast to its beginner difficult nature, there are 2 ways that you can cheese this fight. One is a pretty well-known technique that is essentially an Easter egg put in by the developers. By either destroying the turrets on the walls, or using the already destroyed turret, you can select the grapple beam and grapple onto these exposed electrical fields, which will begin to electrocute you. Seems pretty worthless at first glance, right? Well, if you just so happen to get grabbed by Dragon, and let it swing you around to the point where you're capable of grappling onto these while you're trapped in its claws, you can actually electrocute Dragon as well. And this isn't just small units of damage every second, no. This method will obliterate Dragon's health pool in the span of a few seconds. I always love when developers go out of their way to add cool secrets that most would never even try to do in such high tension and stressful situations. It really makes me appreciate their thought processes and creativity a lot more. However, this method is out of the picture for me because I don't have the grapple beam acquired, so that's where method 2 comes into play. Called the microwave by speedrunners and fans alike, this trick involves you having the charge beam, the plasma beam, and the X-ray scope. Why the X-ray scope specifically? Well, I'll explain right now. So normally, the plasma beam is an item that you acquire after beating Dragon, as the door leading to the path towards plasma is locked until you defeat Dragon. Well, unless you decide to use the X-ray climb glitch to get it early, but let's just assume that you're not a speedrunner who can pull off a trick like that and you're playing a standard randomizer instead. Because the developers never accounted for you getting plasma before Dragon, we can exploit this oversight to our benefit. And what a benefit it is. Just as speedrunners and sequence breakers love. By charging up a plasma beam shot and shooting it into Dragon's stomach, we can activate the X-ray scope over and over again to reset the invulnerability that Dragon would normally get after you land a charge beam shot. This will make it so Dragon will continuously take the hit from the plasma beam shot, dealing tons of damage with every use of the X-ray scope, and allowing us to kill Dragon with no strings attached. Well, assuming you actually do it on the first plasma shot you fire, which I didn't, making me look like a massive dumbass in the process. But regardless, thanks to this neat trick that people somehow discovered all those years ago, we can win this fight easy peasy. Oh, and if you're wondering, no, this method doesn't work on either Ridley or Motherbrain, because the developers did actually account for you having the plasma beam by the time you face them. Shooting a charged plasma shot into them will simply make it disappear on contact, rather than it staying on the screen like with this lobster slime hybrid. So, with Dragon officially turned into fried shrimp, there's only one more boss left for me to take down before Motherbrain. The purple space dragon pirate reptile thing himself, Ridley. After feasting upon the crustacean's remains, I was talking about the health and ammo drops, not its corpse, you nasty fuck. I haul ass back to Criteria and head high up the elevator shaft. But it was at this point where I made a very, very fatal mistake. You see, while I was going through this run, I actually paused my recording to take a break. After all, I was playing for quite a while at that point, and I was starting to get a little hungry and exhausted. So I went and grabbed myself a snack, came back, and finished the run. All while my recording was still paused. Meaning I went through the entire rest of my run without recording the Ridley fight, the Motherbrain fight, or the ending escape. So you know what that means? I have to do it all over again. Yay! So I booted the game back up, went back to an earlier save at my ship, thankfully after the Dragon fight and before the Ridley fight, and hit the record button again. Now we can get back to the run. Anyways, like I was saying, I head high into the sky and eventually enter Ridley's arena. Now, this fight can be a little bit challenging, especially if you're not used to it or if you're more familiar with Ridley's other appearances. Perhaps not as much as Dragon by this point in the game, but I'd still say he can pose a threat to you if you aren't careful. You see, Ridley is very... I said Ridley is very... He's very... He's... You know what? Fuck you. Anyways, like I was saying, Ridley is very aggressive in this fight. He will often swoop in and try to smack you with his tail, hop around like a pogo stick with it, grab you with his talons? Claws? Whatever they are, he'll grab you with them and bring you into the air before letting go, and he'll also breathe fireballs at you. All of these attacks can do quite a bit of damage, especially if you don't have a lot of E-tanks or you don't have Gravity Suit going into the fight. But overall, he's not too difficult of a fight. Super missiles and charged plasma beam shots will do a lot of damage to Ridley, so use those at all times. Don't bother trying to use regular missiles though, because you're just going to be losing DPS at that point. Not much else to really say about this fight, honestly. There's no special gimmick or trick to cheesing it, it's just an intense duel between you and Rodney the Purple Space Dino Tile. So after telling Ridley that he's featured in Other M, he was so disgusted that the developers would use his likeness for such a bad game, and died of cringe shortly after, exploding into tiny pieces and giving me access to the final boss, Motherbrain. Leaving Ridley's room, I head up the elevator and over into Motherbrain's room. Before we can actually face Motherbrain herself, though, we have to destroy these little barriers blocking the way called Zebatites, because I'm not good enough to do the Zebatite skip, unfortunately. Yeah, I'm not very good at this game. After destroying the Zebatites, I went back and refilled my ammo, which the randomizer thankfully lets you do, unlike the original game, did a crystal flash to refill my E-tanks and reserves tanks, and now it's time to face off against Motherbrain. After destroying her glassy container, it's time for phase 2 against her mobile form. A really nice quality of life change that was added to this randomizer is that super missiles deal double the damage they normally do to the Mother Brain, a feature that was not present on Mother Brain in the original, but was present in the original game on Phantoon and Ridley, surprisingly. So your super missiles actually have a slightly higher DPS than even the strongest charge shots in this version of the fight. Pretty interesting, I'd say. But yeah, there's nothing really too special about this fight. Mother Brain is defeated, and now it's time for the escape sequence. We're given a time of 1 minute and 50 seconds to get back to our ship. A pretty reasonable time limit, considering how quick and easy the path to get to it is. Passing through all of the rooms of minutes past, shooting our way out of the gauntlet entrance, and safely getting back inside of our ship, the randomizer is finished. Boy, that was a journey and a half, I gotta say. So, as the final cutscene is playing out, I want to give my closing thoughts. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope you enjoyed watching me go through this randomizer as much as I did playing it. I really had fun with this one, and though I don't know whether or not I'll do another map randomizer, I definitely wouldn't mind doing it if that's what you would all want from me. There's not much more for me to say, so once again, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you in the next upload. Peace!